Managers are a dime a dozen. It's a copy-paste model with authority, but not enough to be on top of the food chain. And being a manager has its pros and cons, of course. A manager will earn more money, but they have more work. They would learn new skills, but would take on more responsibilities. So how do managers break out from that copy-paste managerial style we see so often? That's what we're going to find out today in our video, 15 Things Managers Should Learn to Break Out from the Crowd. Number 1. Human capital is your number one priority. Management is a people job. Before anything, a manager needs to learn to prioritize the human experience in the work they are doing. It's the only way that leads to long-term, sustainable, and predictable production. Otherwise, managers will be dealing with strikes and unions, which is never a joyful experience. Number 2. Make sure people have the right tools for the job. The number one way to ensure the work gets done is to have the right tools for the job. Good internet, the right software, the correct protective gear. Not having the right tools to do a good job is a top work frustration. A great manager should learn to be proactive in providing these tools to ensure the work gets done correctly and on time, ideally with minimal amounts of agitation and frustration for employees. Number 3. They must learn to prioritize. We get it, everything is important, so how do managers learn to prioritize? Toggle.com explains something known as the Eisenhower Matrix. It's a strategy named after former U.S. President Dwight Eisenhower. During his 8 years in office, he initiated space exploration with NASA, launched an early version of the internet through DARPA, and supported the development of the interstate highway, so the guy managed to get a lot done. His strategy was a priority matrix which separated his tasks into 4 categories. Urgent and important, must be done immediately. Important but not urgent, schedule for later. Urgent but not important, may be delegated to someone else, or neither urgent nor important. Eliminate it from the to-do list. Managers could easily learn to prioritize by putting the Eisenhower Matrix into practice. Number 4. They must learn to always involve the team. Managers need to learn to not be so removed from their team. They need to bring them into the decision-making process, get feedback and planning to ensure that the systems they implement are practical and manageable. By learning this skill, it immediately creates more trust among employees, who as a result feel valued and know their opinion counts. The late American engineer and businessman Charles Irwin Wilson aptly said, "A good boss makes his men realize they have more ability than they think they have, so they consistently do better work than they thought they could." Number 5. Managers must learn to continually grow. Managers that want to stand out from the crowd must be committed to growth. Yes, of course, growth in the company, but we also mean growth in the individual. When staff can see that a manager is as pumped about the staff's growth as they are about their own growth, it can lead to an exciting and supportive working environment. An important part of always growing is always learning. Managers must become lifelong learners. It's the most valuable skill anyone can have, which is why we spent the last few months developing our latest premium education experience called Learning Mastery, where we guide you on how to best teach yourself anything and everything. You leave the 21-day course a master learner, or we'll give you a refund. It's as simple as that. You can enroll today by going to Alux.com/learn. Number 6. They need to learn how to communicate the bigger picture. Doing a job blindly with no vision is not the way to go. As a manager, it's important to learn the skill of sharing the vision or the bigger picture, so employees know exactly what they're working toward, and perhaps more importantly, why. According to Harvard Business Review, managers and leaders need to focus on micromanagement. They encourage managers and leaders to answer the following questions to bring their staff up to speed with the overall goal and objective of the company. Why the organization exists and what its purpose is, what it does and doesn't offer to its customers, and how they add value to these customers. All very important to have the team understand. Number 7. They must learn to effectively scale operations. There's a difference between growth and scaling, and any manager worth their salt knows this. Growth is seen in linear terms, meaning a company will add new resources, which will result in higher revenues. Scaling differs in that there isn't a huge increase in resources, but there's still an increase in revenue. To give a basic example, there's no difference in sending out one automated SMS compared to 1,000, but sending out 1,000 is going to be a lot more beneficial than just sending one. The same input, but dramatically different results. Number 8, they must learn to model ethics and be civic-minded. It's important for managers to understand that any business operates within a community and a municipal system. Acknowledging that there are rules to follow and duties to uphold will guarantee that a manager is a respected figure of authority within the business. Maria Razumich-Zek said, "Your reputation and integrity are everything. Follow through on what you say you're going to do. Your credibility can only be built over time, and it's built from the history of your words and actions." Number 9, learn to adopt technology that works. And we don't mean just for novelty, we mean actually drive improvement in the products or production. Optimizing technology benefits a company in a plethora of ways, as pointed out by Tech Times. The marketing is enhanced, better customer relations, easier communication, more efficiency, and reduced labor costs. Figuring out how to move with the times is an invaluable skill for a manager to learn. Number 10, train and implement upgrades until they run smoothly. So now that you've gotten your tech upgrades in place, as a manager, you can't just rest on your laurels and think that computers will take care of everything. A manager needs to learn how each program or system operates, so that when things need upgrading or there are glitches, they can jump in and fix it, or at least know who to call quickly. It brings us back to our earlier point about having the right tools for the job. This way, employees can continue working without much interruption, and their anxiety levels don't shoot through the roof. Number 11, learn to model the behavior or culture from the top. All eyes are on the manager, so best to learn quickly that as a manager, a good example needs to be set from the start. As we said in our video, 15 skills all CEOs master, the same rule applies to managers. Be a role model to your employees. We're not saying you have to start work at 4 a.m. like Apple's Tim Cook, or be sending work emails at 11 p.m. like Mary Barra, the chief executive of GM. But you do need to be dedicated and work hard so you can inspire those who work beneath you. Number 12, learn to develop the team without hand-holding the staff. Aluxers, as a manager, it's best to accelerate talent from within to drive employee investment and reduce frustrations. By taking this stance, you won't have a need to spoon-feed your staff, but rather, they would develop, grow, and learn to resolve issues without having to constantly lean on the manager for support or solutions. Like Richard Branson said, train people well enough so they can leave, treat them well enough so they don't want to. Number 13, managers must learn to never show favoritism. A team of employees is not a box of Quality Street. You can't pick your faves. And while we're all aware of office politics, it can be pretty frustrating for employees when they already know who the boss's favorite is and who's up for promotion. Showing favoritism sends the message to employees that it's not results that help you grow in an organization, but rather winning the favor of the manager. As Fortune.com advises, by developing a strategy to fairly reward strong employees, you can ensure the retention of these employees while keeping motivation and office morale high. Number 14, they need to learn to empower people. Being a great manager is more about the team than about the manager. An excellent manager only becomes excellent when they build an excellent team. With this in mind, it's up to the manager to learn to spot opportunities, to upskill and empower their team. We reiterate, a team that feels valued, needed, and appreciated is a team that will not only reflect well on the manager, but also will grow the company in all the right directions, benefiting everyone across the board. Number 15, managers must learn to embrace change. Change is part of human development. It's inevitable, and it isn't always a sign of crisis, just a call for action. Good managers seek out the next phase so they can change as they go, which is far better than a panic pivot. As much as some people resist change, if dealt with correctly, staff will understand the reason for it, how the change will benefit them and the company, and that their feelings are substantiated and heard. Alright, what do you think could be added to this list of what would help a manager stand out from the crowd? Share with us in the comments section. We'll be right there with you. And of course, you stuck with us until the end. Here's your bonus. Another thing managers need to learn: to eat a big slice of humble pie. The best managers are those who don't rule from an ivory tower, but rather problem solve in the trenches with their team. If managers focus more on their role of being in charge than being responsible for the team's success, then they can really cause conflict and stress for their subordinates. An inflated ego narrows a manager's vision to solutions that raise their status, rather than get the job done so everyone can win. This American proverb sums it up perfectly: arrogance is a kingdom without a crown.